Happy early Christmas. What do we get? Timothée Chalamet. New York, early 1960s. Against the backdrop of a vibrant music scene, an enigmatic 19-year-old from Minnesota arrives in the West Village with his guitar and revolutionary talent, destined to change the course of American music. During the Christmas season, you just want to watch some movies that kind of feel like a warm hug, and that's what A Complete Unknown feels like. Directed by James Mangold. And can we just talk about the range from this director? You have Walk the Line, Logan, Ford v Ferrari, and well, we can forget about Indiana Jones 5. This movie kicks off strong with Timothée Chalamet and Edward Norton sharing some electric early scenes. Their interactions, whether they're at a concert, performing, or in a house, just listening to each other play. Specifically, one particular scene near the first act where Edward Norton and his whole family are just leaning over, listening to Bob play his guitar and sing the beautiful lyrics that he has written. Honestly, I could sit in a room that's like that and vibe all day. Now let's talk about Timothée Chalamet. If you paid attention to last year, he was in this film called Wonka, and at least for me, I had no idea the guy could dance and sing. And here we are with another project where he's not only having to sing really well, he's having to sing songs by Bob Dylan, mind you, he's got to act like Bob Dylan. And let me tell you what, he doesn't just act like Bob Dylan, he becomes Bob Dylan. The mannerisms, the voice, the energy, the lack of energy, it's all there. This is Oscar-worthy work, no doubt. Around Bob Dylan's world, we have the love interest, Sylvie, played exceptionally by Ella Fanning. And she's more than just the girlfriend. Sylvie is sharp, intuitive, and always a step ahead of Bobby. Dylan is a guy who thrives on mystery, and that's where tension begins between these two characters, because you have Sylvie who wants to genuinely get to know him, know his past, how he kind of came about this passion of music, and maybe even more about his family. But the closer she tries to get, the further he pushes her away, and how he just solely locks in to music, and that's it. Then there's Joan Baez, another woman who shakes up Dylan's world musically and creatively. And not to give away spoilers, even though I think this arc kind of gives itself away in the trailers, let me give a life lesson for the people that are already married or wanting to get married. Mainly men. Women are smart. So if you think you can just get away with whatever, here's the reality. They already know what you did. They're just waiting for you to admit it. Don't do whatever you thought you were gonna do. I just saved your marriage. James Mangold. I'm really hoping this is gonna become a trend, because I believe this is the third time both him and Boyd Holbrook have worked together. And even though his role is very minimal, his presence is felt in every single scene, especially when it comes to the interaction and relationship dynamic between Bob and Johnny. It's that one friend that is always just gonna be there to encourage you and be a little reckless, but still be somebody that is always gonna have your best interest. I loved how James Mangold was able to capture that in just a couple scenes. The magic of this film is the pacing, where it kind of mimics the spirit of this film, where we're following a character that is wandering and he wants to go on this journey alone, where he's fighting with his own creativity over managers that don't really understand what he's trying to go for. There's beauty within that. A big thing to me that this film tackles is the idea of criticism, how we can be our own worst critics, how there's other people that might be over us that can definitely be critics. Sometimes they're needed, and sometimes they're just noise that you need to block. Bob Dylan is front and center with this dilemma when dealing with his superiors. They are worried people who just want good old folk music, don't try to change anything. People like the way things sound. They don't want anything new or anything that's going to spark controversy. This thought brought me back to 2016-2017 when Linkin Park dropped an album called One More Light. I was one of the only few people that actually enjoyed it. Critics and fans were saying it was trash, or I want the old Linkin Park back. But I believed it was an album that people just were not ready for at the time. And that reminded me of this film, where you can have your managers, you can have the fans, you can even have your own thoughts. You're your own worst critic. But it's that feeling of sometimes people just aren't ready for something, even though it'd be great if they could accept it. But luckily, there's a thing called time. And the times, they are a-changing. I'm gonna get a little cringy there. And I just did, but it's worth it for my point. Negative-wise, there is a specific arc in the first half with the relationship between Bob Dylan and Sylvie. Honestly, it just felt a little too rushed for us to feel certain emotions that the director was trying to make us feel. But on the return end, when it comes to the end of certain dynamics in the film, primarily in the third act, they do feel earned and justified. It just felt a little awkward in that first 20-30 minute transition. So here's the bottom line. A Complete Unknown is a fantastic biopic. It's immersive and deeply moving. Timothée Chalamet loses himself into this role, not only singing like Bob Dylan, but acting just like him. He's becoming him. Edward Norton and Boyd Holbrook also delivering potential Oscar-worthy turns. When the credits rolled, I was inspired, a little lost, and just the right amount of found. If you're looking for a film that feels like a musical journey through a complex, brilliant mind, this is it. Don't miss it. 8 out of 10. Thank you guys so much for watching this review. It really means a lot. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, but most importantly, do not forget to be blessed.